Are you a single black man in America and you're just dreaming about the day that you can settle down, find the love of your life, and have kids? Well, stay tuned to this video. I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why you may want to start relocating to Africa and find that love of your life here. Hey, Jason here. If you've been watching the channel, you've been seeing me as I've been going through my life as an expat, as I left the United States 9 years ago. And now I have officially settled in Zambia, where I'm in the southern region of Africa. And I just wanted to share with you some of the pros and cons of Africa. But in today's video, the pros of if you're a black male, possibly finding a partner here in the southern region of Africa. So let's go ahead and get into it. And so in this video, let me just be very clear. I am not speaking to passport bros. I'm not speaking about passport bros. When I use the term black men, I do not include passport bros in that. It's not any offense to all passport bros. However, there are a lot of people using that term nowadays, and some of those people are not the best people in the world. I'm not knocking someone's lifestyle, but I will say this, that is not my target audience. I do not speak to those people. I'm speaking about black men. If you watch my video previously, I defined black man as someone who is working, someone that is looking for someone to love and be loved, and someone that is stable. This is people that desire stability. So I'm not talking about the guys that's out here just going out drinking, going out and trying to get with as many women as possible. That is not what I mean when I speak about black men. I'm talking about the educated, employed brothers out here that are actually on top of their thing, disciplined, and structuring their life for the future. So just want to, clear that up right off the bat. So none of my sisters out there, don't come at me like I'm attacking you all. I am not. When I use the term black men and black women, I'm speaking about a very specific demographic in the United States that is not getting the credit that they're due. And we need to start shedding light and showing there's a difference between these other little subgroups that are getting all the attention right now. And people are thinking that is the model of every black man and black woman from America, which is not true. And so one of the reasons why I'm saying maybe a lot of black men may want to start looking to relocate to certain parts of Africa is there's things within the United States that are not talked about. One of those things that is not talked about is a family structure. Now, if you grew up like me, you didn't grow up with a father, you probably didn't see much two-parent households. I can say personally, most of my uncles, they were on drugs. And so I didn't see much positive, I didn't see much positivity when it came to black men around me. And so I had to look outside and be creative and really search for, okay, what are some little pieces here, pieces there, and try to get a picture of what a black man is. Now, I'm not saying that to knock black men, because we need to understand one of the things that destroyed this family structure within black society in the United States was the desegregation. And what I mean by that is there was a hidden cost to the Civil Rights Act. That biggest hidden cost of the Civil Rights Act was desegregation, which was destroying the black family structure. And it destroyed us from a patriarch society, destroyed us from a strong matriarch society, and it destroyed us from a financial society. It destroyed the black family structure on three fronts. And if you're like, no, I don't know if that's true, let's just look at one of the biggest things that's still in existence to this day, which is, what does they call it? Dang, I can't even slip my mind right now. The Section 8 and all of that stuff, the welfare system, sorry. If part of the welfare system with most black family households, the man is not allowed to be present in the house. That is not giving to other minority groups or even the majority group. There's a very different system depending on your ethnic race. Now, we're not getting deep into politics or race here. We're just using history. Remember, if you fail to learn history, you're doomed to repeat it. So we have to understand where these things came from. And this is part of history. This isn't knocking what the government does now. Hey, more power to you guys, what you do. I'm out of that system. But we have to understand that because of the Civil Rights Act and desegregation, it destroyed family structure. And now you may be asking, like, Jason, where is this coming from? Like, what does this have to do with Black men being able to needing to go to Africa to probably find a more suitable partner? The reason because this is I've been watching these different dating shows, Find Love and all of this thing, and it's just wrong. I'm gonna be honest with you. It is completely wrong. People are out here trying to force love and they're not even able to articulate what they're saying. So I've been really taking time to just and taking notes of seeing what are the people asking for. People are asking for family structure. Men are asking for family structure. Women are asking for family structure. Yet they don't understand what a proper family structure looks like. Because for a large number, I'm not going to say all Black Americans, but a large number, that family structure has been destroyed on so many levels that we don't know what it looked like. For me, what I understood is from what I saw firsthand with my family, I did not want to be in a relationship with anything that resembled it. And so when I went and found Cece, and she was a first generation American, her family originated from Trinidad and Tobago. Even though it was uncomfortable for me in the beginning because I wasn't used to these close family structures, people playing games, you're actually spending time together and it's not just to eat and just leave or get drunk. And so those things was weird for me at first, but I knew I did not want anything that resembled the family structure that I grew up in. And I actually started to really, really take a lot of nuggets from that. So like when her mom used to tell me about their dad, I would listen to things like how he was the man of the house, things like that. Even to this day, my uncle Chris, her uncle who was a cop with Houston, how, just seeing how he ran his family, the things that they done, like it really helped me understand how to be a man in a marriage because I didn't have anyone to model that to me. And yes, there was things I saw on TV and stuff like that, but let's be real, that's TV. Like, a lot of that is scripted. That's not how life really works. And so it was really good to see that from a family structure that I didn't grow up into. And I think that's what a lot of men are missing right now. And the biggest disconnection with modern dating is what a relationship's supposed to really look like. We all have this fairy tale fantasy. If you ever read the book, The Happiness Trap, it talks about this. A lot of us have been programmed to think certain outcomes give us this perfection, this happiness, like, oh, everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies. And that's not true. A healthy, happy marriage has a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of times you don't like each other. There's a lot of times you're ignoring each other. It's the way that you bounce back up. It's the same way if you're failing at something. It's about getting back up. It's about getting the marriage back up. And that is one of the things that a lot of men are missing in relationships. They're just like, I'm the man, you listen to me, I'm gonna be the head of the household. It's not how that technically works. Yes, you can be the man. Yes, you can be the protector. Yes, you can even be the provider, but you still have to build the relationship. You can throw as much money into a relationship all you want. It's not going to make that relationship happy until you two build a happy foundation. And what I mean by building a happy foundation is actually what are some things that you like to do? Like you have to understand, what do you like to do as a couple? If I like when I was married with Cece, it wasn't about her just doing everything that I wanted to do or me doing everything that she wanted to do. We had things that we compromised and did together. Some things that we did, we just knew like, hey, this is for the marriage. Like we always had our date days every week. We had our dinner dates every week. We would cook for each other. And then we still had our separate times where I'm probably off watching anime and she's off watching Grey's Anatomy. We had our reading time, all of those things together and we had our times separate also. And so to really understand a family structure, you must be with someone who grew up in some sort of family structure. And from what I'm seeing in how they're doing a lot of the dating pool within America, they're not matching those people together correctly. And they're mix matching a lot of people who didn't grow up with family structures. And you have this chaotic energy where people are just not vibing. And that's one of the reasons why. The second reason why I believe a lot of Black men should start looking into Africa for dating, and this is if you want to date a Black woman. If you want to date any other race, ethnicity, whatever you want to call it, by all means, go find them where they are. I'm speaking to Black men who want to be with Black women. Um, is the ancestry. Most of us, or a lot of us, let me say most, a lot of us in the United States, our ancestry most likely goes back to slavery. Or if you're one of the indigenous that got reclassified as blacks, then it still goes back to slavery. like, and it's sad because when I did a little bit of research into my ancestry, my great grandparents was right at the end of slavery. And yes, slavery ended at a certain time frame in the book. It didn't end that way in reality. Like we have to understand that. Even to this day, slavery is still legal in the United States. We just call it the prison industrial complex. And if someone's like, well, that's not a good example, let you be an innocent person sitting in prison for 10, 20, 30 years and tell me how you would feel about that. Like until there is no innocent people sitting in prison, that's slavery and it's wrong. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And so one of the things I love about being here in Africa and every country I go to, I'm talking about South Africa, Botswana, and here in Lusaka, Rwanda, you're going to see it in Namibia, you're going to see it in Kenya. Every country you just about go to, there's a strong connection with the ancestry. A lot of people grew up with their great great grandparents, and a lot of people can trace their lineage back because they understand their tribe. All those things, those mean something, man. And when I say they mean something, there was a reason why the way the United States colonizers did the slaves there and ripped away their heritage, their language, all of those things. There was something in there. There was a soul connection in that was stolen from most of us. I know a few people are still able to track back their lineage to Africa or to the indigenous tribe, and that's great for them. However, there's a large number of us that aren't able to do that. Uh, like I'll tell you straight up, when I first went to Botswana, there was a connection there. It was a soul connection there. I believe I come from the Kalanga tribe. When I see people that are Kalanga, they remind me of friends and family. There's a connection there for me at a soul level. And I believe there's something deep about that a lot of us as Black American men, we're still facing trauma because we don't really know who we are. And I think one of the ways to actually help heal that is getting with someone who understands more, like let someone that can explain to you some of their ancestry. And it's going to create healing for you also. I'm going to tell you, like, as soon as I stepped off the plane into South Africa, there was just something here. It like went through my body and I was like, okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And then when I went to Botswana, it was like a big surge of energy just hit me. And I was like, I'm home. And when you have that feeling, there's a peace in your soul. And this is something I think a lot of Black men need. We need to find peace. We've come from a generation that had to fight. The generation before them were fighting just for survival. The generation before them was fighting just not to be unalived on this earth. And now we got to come to a place of peace to recreate this family structure that was stolen from us and sold from us because the Black leaders let us down. Let's be very clear about that in America. They let us down. They were too busy focused on us being equals when we don't have to make ourselves equal. God knows we're equal. And in terms of that, they gave up the family structure of Black Americans, which is why I believe strongly we're in the situation that we are in today, to where just look at anything on social media, man. It's horrible. It is horrible, yo. I don't even think people think about some of the things they do now. There's lack of respect, everything. It is horrible. Like, you could be a good Black woman or a good Black man, and people, oh, you're a simp, you're a square, you're this. It's like, what is wrong with some of you people? And I just be looking at some of the things, I'm like, anybody think that this isn't normal? Like, sometimes now I think something's wrong with me, because I be looking at things, I'm like, this isn't normal. This is mental health behavior. Like, this is mental illness. This is not right. And so, as I'm be looking through these things from a psychological standpoint, and I was like, what is going on with Black men and women? Like, I don't remember things being this horrible. This, like, it's so destructive now. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's like a lot of Black men and women are just they hate each other. And it's not that serious, man. It's really not. And so, like, I think it's time that we just resettle in different areas throughout different communities of Black community, different Black communities. And for my Black women too, like, I'm not doing a video saying where to find great Black men, because I'm not interested in Black men. So I don't really know, but I will say this, like, there are some really great Black guys in Africa. I've met a lot of guys in Africa that are Black, great Black men. They're business minded, goal oriented. Some of them are entrepreneurial. A lot of great guys. Now, let me just say this for the ladies also, 'cause I don't want to just be overlook this. Do not let the concepts that Western media lie to us about Africans dilute what you may think you can find on this continent. Every man here is not looking for polygamy. Every man here is not trying to have 4 or 5 wives. That is a lie. I mean, a lot of guys here, they tell you, like, I am not interested in that. And so do not think that you can't find monogamy here on this continent. Every guy here is not that lifestyle, the way they show us in America. So I just want to clean that up real quick. And then the other thing why, let's get back to the Black men. Other reason why I think it'll be really good for Black men to start dating throughout Africa. Well, before I say this one, when I'm talking about dating, guys, let me just say this. I'm not talking about meeting girls off of out of the clubs or some of these social media apps or dating apps. I'm sorry. Like, if you're on Tinder, if you're swiping left or right, 9 times out of 10, if she just have drinks in her hand, if her butt is sticking out, like, let's just do some common sense, guys. Let's do some common sense. Stop thinking sexually and think about, who do you want to be your partner? Who do you want to be the mother of your children? How do you want your children to be raised? I think this is one of the biggest issues that a lot of Black men are facing. You're going off what is satisfying your eyes instead of what's going to satisfy your soul. You need to look for women that are going to satisfy your soul. Yes, it's nice to have your eyes satisfied, but I'm telling you, it's probably going to hurt your pocketbook, and it's going to hurt you emotionally. And that's going to drive straight into the next thing. I believe here on the continent of Africa, you can find a very safe place to be emotional as a guy. And what I mean by that is, until a guy feels 100% comfortable with you, he's not going to open up with you. And that's just from regular dynamics of how men are wired from birth. We're taught that showing emotions is a bad thing. Showing emotions is weakness. However, when a man finds a woman that compliments him, a woman that truly supports him, it's a place for him to show emotional weakness, because she usually helps build him back up. So what I mean by that is, let me give you an example. So when Cece and I were together, I say probably after 3 years, I started having breakdowns mentally from some of the stuff that I experienced at war. And I never talked to her about before then about war. I was like, hey, I went to war. I'm dealing with some stuff. I'm trying to work with my psychiatrist and psychologist, but I'll deal with it. And from there, I had a breakdown. And I'll tell you about it. So I had a breakdown at UTA actually on the campus. Someone grazed my back, and I had a flashback at the time. I had a complete flashback. I thought I was back in the war. I couldn't find my weapon. I was hearing incoming. I just didn't know what was going on, and I didn't have a clue of where I was at. Now, mind you, all this was going on in my head. It wasn't actively seeing anything going around, jumping around. In my head, it was happening. And so then I started hyperventilating, and all I could do was just get back to my car. And I just had a breakdown. I cried everything. And then when I finally came together, I called her. And she was like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And I explained to her the situation of the breakdown, what I was going through. She walked me through a breathing technique. She stayed on the phone with me until I was back to my normal senses and I was able to drive safely. And then she was like, hey, just get home. And when you get home, can we please talk about this? Because I'm worried now. And I was like, okay, we can talk about it. Now, I was still reluctant when I first got home to talk about these things because, as a guy, I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be this war hero, this veteran. I'm supposed to have my stuff together. I'm supposed to be able to protect her. And now I'm having breakdowns in the middle of a college campus. And what is she going to think about? And the first thing she said to reassure me, she was like, look, this has nothing to do with you being my man. This is about you dealing with something that you literally went through going to war. She was like, that's traumatic. She was like, I can't understand what you went through. And I'm not going to try to understand what you went through. However, I do want you to understand I am here for you. And those words alone, man, when she told me that she was here for me, it was the first time in my life I felt that there was someone that was really there for me. And then we just had like maybe a couple hours, we just sat and talked and I just explained things to her, explained some of the things I was going through at night when couldn't sleep, trying to sleep at night. Just really, I unloaded on her and let her know. And we broke it down. We talked about it. She gave me some things to help. She asked me, she was like, look, I know you don't trust these people at the VA, but just try what they're saying. Like, she's like, if you give it a good shot and you try, do med compliance, then if it doesn't work, we will find out something. I will be supportive of you 100%. And we did that. And fast forward, so it's not a long story. I did the med compliance until they tried to put me on something that was for people with schizophrenia. So it was like in small doses, we see that it helps people sleep. So it might be great for you. And then I was like, I'm already on 40 pills a day already. I'm done. And I told her, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I feel like they're not trying to help me. I'm not getting any better. I felt like my mental state was deteriorating even more. And I believe this is what pushed her into ACT therapy, acceptance commitment therapy, to help me. Now, none of those things would have happened if I didn't have a safe place to be emotional with her. And I think this is where a lot of confusion comes into relationships in the United States right now, because if I'm seeing like if a man is showing any form of emotion, he's sassy, he's catty, or they're challenging his manhood and stuff, which makes no sense. That has nothing to do with a man being a man. Like, we all have an emotional spectrum, and we have to be able we all have to be able to showcase our emotional spectrum. Remember, emotions is energy in motion. You can't just bottle that energy up. Like, that's how you have people that are feeling like no one understands them, or they're getting hyper depressed or hyper manic. Like, there's just emotions sitting inside of them and they're not letting it go. And so one of the things I kept seeing on these different dating shows is the moment a man shows any little bit of emotion, now they're challenging his manhood. And then that's just going to create a whole nother wave of emotions that he's going to be showcasing. It just gets to a point where it's just chaotic. And chaotic energy doesn't lead to a solution. And trying to force happy, healthy, loving vibes and chaotic energy. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. It's never going to work. It's never going to help you. And on top of that, one other thing that I think a lot of black men need right now is reassurance. I don't think a lot of black men are really honest about their experience, especially in the United States. Like in the UN, I don't know how it is for black women. And if you're a black woman, just comment down below because I know you all have different struggles than we do. But for a black man, especially if you're a bigger guy like I am, you are no longer a black child at a very young age. I believe I was maybe anywhere between 9 and 12 when I started feeling like I was being treated like a grown man. And what I mean by that is they'll start having people follow me through the store. The police will just do random, oh, what are you doing? Where are you walking to? Like I had a shotgun pulled on me by a white guy. And I think while we was living in DeSoto, they was in a truck, had a shotgun pulled on me. Like all of these little different things. I started really recognizing racism for what it was at between 9 and 12. I don't remember the exact age, but it was between that age. And that's when a level of hatred started to seep in for me to where my dominant emotion became anger. And I don't think a lot of black men speak about that. And I think because we're forced to try to be a man at such a younger age than we need to, it messes up our stages of puberty. And I think this is one of the reasons why women may mature faster or younger than men is because we're not allowed to experience that true childhood all the way, especially not until 18 years old. Like you're not seeing many black men that are 18, young black men that are 16, 17, 18, and they're still feeling like, oh man, I'm a teenager. It's like, no, they're feeling like a man usually. It's like they're trying to work, pay some bills, do something. And so I think that really messes up a lot of our maturity. And so we need the reassurance of being a man. Like, and what I mean by the reassurance, I think a lot of times when people hear these words, they're thinking like coddling. No one is asking you to treat a man like a baby. What is just let them know like, hey, you're doing a good job. The same way men should show appreciation for women, men need that appreciation too, but we call it reassurance. We need to be reassured that we're doing the right job. Like, let us know, hey, am I leading you correctly? Like, I'm trying to be the head of the household. Am I doing a good job? And these was a lot of the things that Cece and I built in our relationship over the time. We would always just share gratifications for some of the simplest things. Like if she would go bring me water, I'd be like, man, I really appreciate you getting this water for me today because it was just one of those days I don't feel like doing it. Then I remember, because I usually did most of the cooking. So she would always be like, oh, thank you for cooking, blah, blah. And then I remember sometimes, I'd be like, hey, man, I'm really tired. Like, do you mind just ordering out or picking the food for us? Or do you mind just making something real quick? Like, I'm just exhausted. I don't really have the energy for it. And she's like, yeah, there's no problem. I appreciate you for all you do. And I just tell her, like, man, I really appreciate this. You just don't know how much it means to me. Like that type of reassurance is what men want, like to know that things can still be stable if they don't have the energy to just carry the entire load or majority of the load on any given moment. And that don't mean every day, guys. It doesn't mean every day. And so I just wanted to share that. The last reason, and this is one of the things I think is the most important of family structure and why black men should be thinking about relocating to Africa, to create multiple streams of income. Depending on which country you're in, you're able to get land. Depending on which country you're in, you're able to start building businesses, entrepreneurship. Family structure, financial freedom, those things need entrepreneurship. Like you need a family to build a business. It's hard out here doing it on your own. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like it's overwhelming. And so having multiple streams of income is something I see that is highly feasible, and especially here in Lusaka in Zambia, not just Lusaka, but the whole country of Zambia. Like one of the things I'm doing now, I'm going to start setting up an actual landscaping business. I'm just slowly buying the equipment, just letting it sit. Like I found some something leaf blowers for 550 kwacha. I think that's like $20, maybe $22 at the most. And so I'm just stocking up on them, just buying one every month. I'm gonna get some weed eaters, maybe get one or two lawnmowers that are gas powered, and then I'm gonna just start hiring people and just start using that as a business and a stream of income. I have a talent agency company. I have a salon that I'm getting together. I'm going to actually also start out a takeaway vegan restaurant, like all of these different things. And you have that opportunity also as a male if you come here, start relocating here, reside here, get residency, and just start building your family and building your legacy here. Like, don't be afraid. Don't think they're just lions and elephants running around all over Africa. Don't think they're uncivilized people. Do not think that it's people that don't speak English. Here in Zambia, in this, not even the name say Zambia, this southern region of Africa, is some of the best English I've heard in my life. And mind you, I lived in Panama, I lived in South Korea, I lived also in Colombia. This is some of the best English I've heard in my life. It is very easy to have conversations here. You're not going to be lost. You can have, and there's great women here also. Let me just say that. I know I always get this question like, Jason, what are the women like? There's wonderful women here, man. And I know there's my wonderful women in America also. But I'm just, this video is specifically on for the guys who may just, hey, leave America and come here. I think another, and this is just an extra, another part of the problem, I think, between a lot of black men and black women in America, you're all tired of living there. You're tired of the struggle there. You're tired of that rat race there. Do not be afraid to move abroad. Do not be afraid to look for greener pastures. Just remember this, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There is no perfect place. Every place is gonna have some issues, it's gonna have its good and its bad. But if you're really wanting to make your life happy, you have to do it on your accord. Don't let your friends and family scare you from possibly making the biggest decision of your life. So many people told me when I first told them 2 years ago that I was going to go to South Africa, be careful. It's dangerous there. You sure you want to do that? And if I would have listened to them, I would have missed out on some of the biggest opportunities in my life. The fact that I'm building businesses here, the fact that I have land in Chama, 20 hectares of land that I'm building a farm on and going to start a solar farm on also. The fact that I'm looking at land in Mumbai, I'm looking at land in some other areas. Like all of these things I would have never been able to do if I would have listened to others. So listen to yourself on that, meditate on it. And I hope this just brought you a little bit of clarity. Like I'm not here to bring up this black women are the problem, black men are the problem. I'm here to just talk about some solutions. And I think one of the biggest solutions is a lot of people getting away from the United States as a whole and start looking to relocate somewhere else. And if you're a black man that really love black women, then don't be afraid to start looking out here in Africa. There's so many countries here, sorry. And look in the different regions. Like everybody knows about Ghana, everybody knows about Kenya, but nobody really talks about this southern region, man. It's a hidden gold mine here. Zambia is a good country. Botswana is a good country. South Africa is a good country. Namibia is a good country. You have Tanzania, Malawi. You have Rwanda. You have Uganda, the DRC. Like there's a lot of different places out here. And if you're not knowing where you want to go, keep watching the channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for notification. I'm about to start back doing more traveling come August. I will actually be taking the train from here in Zambia all the way up to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. You will be able to see that. I'm going to walk you around Tanzania while I'm there. We're going to be going to the marketplaces, probably some other places also. And so just make sure you keep tuned. And look, just don't be afraid to travel. Travel is a great thing. Get your passport, travel, explore the world. And just remember this, I'm Jason, and success is simple once you know how.